She was only 6, sitting alone at a freezing bus stop with a broken leg brace and a bracelet that spelled her name. For hours, no one stopped. No one asked. Until a millionaire-turned bus driver noticed something in her eyes, something he had seen once before, the day he lost his own daughter. What he did next changed both of their lives forever. This is the story of the little girl who waited for a mother who never came back, and the stranger who refused to leave her behind. Before we dive in, drop a comment. Where in the world are you watching from tonight? The wind at Silvercrest Bus Depot had its own kind of sadness, the kind that stings your cheeks and makes streetlights look lonelier than they should. Cars honked far away. People rushed past with bags and winter coats. But on bench number 12, a little girl sat perfectly still. Her name, spelled in shiny blue beads on a tiny bracelet, was Amara, 6 years old. Black curls tied with a pink ribbon, left leg held tight in a small medical brace that squeaked every time she moved. But tonight, she wasn't moving at all. She sat hugging a small cloth doll with one missing button eye, whispering to it like the doll could magically fix everything. "Mama just went to get tickets," she murmured, her breath fogging in the cold air. "She'll come back," she promised. Every time the automatic doors whooshed open, Amara's head snapped up, hopeful, bright, waiting for her mother's face to appear in the doorway. And every time, disappointment settled back into her chest like a heavy stone. People passed her by. Some noticed the brace, some noticed the trembling, but nobody stopped. They just kept moving the way busy adults do when they don't want to see something that hurts. But earlier, it had been different. Earlier, her mother Yolanda had been holding her hand so tightly that Amara's fingers tingled. They had walked into the station together, Yolanda's eyes red and tired. Her once neat curls were frizzy from worry and cold. She smelled like soap from the shelter sink and old coffee from the convenience store. "Mama," Amara had said softly, "are we really going to see the ocean?" Yolanda forced a smile, one of those smiles that's more pain than joy. "Yeah, baby. The ocean," she whispered, "the place with all the blue water you love." But inside her chest, a storm was raging. Yolanda had spent months drowning in bills she couldn't pay, doctors she couldn't afford, and grief she had never healed. Amara's father died in a construction accident when she was still in diapers. After that, everything fell like dominoes. The rent, the jobs, the friendships, even her own reflection. Some nights she held Amara and cried quietly so the girl wouldn't hear. Other nights she stared at the leg brace and blamed herself. And this morning, something inside her broke. She sat Amara down on the bench and brushed snowflakes from her daughter's curls. "Sit right here, Peanut," she said gently. "Mama's going to get our tickets, then we'll get on the bus and go somewhere warm." "Can my doll come too?" Amara asked, lifting the little fabric figure. "Of course," Yolanda whispered, voice cracking. "She always comes." Then Yolanda stood there for a long moment, looking at her daughter like trying to memorize every detail of her face. Finally, she leaned down and kissed Amara's forehead. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." And she walked away. Not fast, not slow, just gone. She didn't buy any tickets. She walked right past the counter, past the gift shop, past the exit, and didn't look back even once, because looking back would have destroyed her completely. Now, hours later, the bright afternoon had turned into a cold blue evening. Snow blew through the doors every time someone entered. The ceiling lights flickered like broken stars. Amara's hands had gone numb, but she refused to cry. Her mama always told her, "Crying makes your throat hurt," and she didn't want that. Instead, she whispered to her doll, "Maybe Mama got stuck in a long line. Maybe she's helping someone. She always helps people." But her voice shook too badly to believe her own excuses. That's when the final bus of the night rolled in. Route 29. Its headlights sliced through the falling snow, glowing like twin moons. The doors folded open with a hiss, and the passengers shuffled off one by one. Last off the bus was Leon Mercer, wearing a simple driver's jacket zipped over a white dress shirt, a shirt far too expensive for someone doing night shifts. His short beard was dusted with winter frost, and silver strands in his hair caught the station light. He didn't look like a regular bus driver. He didn't walk like one, either. There was a kind of heaviness in his steps, the kind you get only after losing something precious. And he had. Years ago. He'd lost his own daughter. Leon was locking the bus doors when he saw her, a small girl sitting alone, legs barely dangling off the bench, eyes swollen but still hopeful. He froze. For a moment, the world around him blurred. He saw his daughter's face, the way she used to wave at him when he came home from work. The same warm eyes, the same brave look kids wear when they're scared but don't want you to know. Leon cleared his throat, trying to push away the memories. He walked over slowly. "Hey, sweetheart. Where's your grown-up?" Amara looked up, blinking. "Mama's getting tickets. She's coming back." Leon glanced around the depot. No luggage, no adult watching her, no ticket stubs, nothing. "How long has Mama been gone?" he asked gently. Amara tilted her head, trying to remember. When the sky was orange, he swallowed. That was hours ago. He crouched down so he wouldn't tower over her. "My name's Leon," he said softly. "Mind if I sit with you?" She nodded, hugging her doll tighter. He sat. The bench groaned under his weight. "Your hand's shaking," he said. "Are you cold?" "A little," she whispered. Leon took off his jacket and wrapped it around her tiny shoulders. The sleeves swallowed her arms completely, but she relaxed into the warmth. Then came the question that cracked him open. "Mister, if Mama got lost, how do I help her find me?" Leon's breath left his lungs. His eyes burned. He wanted to tell her the truth, that sometimes adults don't get lost. They just break. But you can't say that to a 6-year-old whose whole world is her mother. So instead, he said the only thing his shaking voice could form. "You won't wait alone anymore. I'm right here." And for the first time that night, Amara let herself lean against someone. Just as she closed her eyes, the police walked in. A brief conversation with Leon, a silent shake of heads. The news he hoped he wouldn't hear. No sign of the mother. Leon stared at the snow swirling outside the glass doors. Something inside him whispered, "Don't leave her here. Don't walk away like everyone else has." So he sat beside her and stayed and stayed, long after the depot emptied, long after the last announcements faded, long after midnight swallowed the city whole. Little did he know, this moment, this cold bench in a forgotten bus depot, was the beginning of a story that would change both of their lives forever. The night had been long, but the morning felt even longer. When the sun began sneaking through the cracked windows of Silvercrest Bus Depot, Leon Mercer was still sitting on bench 12. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but he didn't move an inch. Not while Amara lay asleep beside him, wrapped in his oversized jacket, clutching her one-eyed doll like it held the whole world together. The station slowly came alive, vacuum machines humming, the coffee kiosk clattering awake, the smell of cinnamon buns mixing with cold air. But Leon didn't notice any of it. All he noticed was the weight of a tiny girl's head resting on his arm. He hadn't held a sleeping child since the night his daughter passed, and if he had moved even a little, he felt like his heart might crack. A soft voice finally interrupted the stillness. "Mr. Mercer." Leon blinked and looked up. A woman stood there holding a clipboard. Her hair was in a neat bun, her smile gentle but tired, like someone who had carried too many sad stories. "I'm Jada," she said. "Child Services." Leon nodded slowly. "Morning?" She lowered her voice as she looked at the small girl sleeping on him. "You stayed all night?" "Yes." "That was kind of you." He didn't respond. Kind wasn't the word. Necessary. That was closer. Jada crouched down and touched Amara's shoulder gently. Baby girl, wake up, sweetheart. Amara stirred, opening her eyes like she was waking from a dream she didn't want to leave. Her first words weren't questions, they were hope. Mama came back. Leon's chest tightened. Jada hesitated, swallowing hard. No, honey. We're still looking. The little girl nodded, but her lower lip wobbled. She didn't cry. She just held her doll tighter, the way children do when they decide crying won't help. Jada stood. Mr. Mercer, we'll take her to the foster center for now. You've done more than enough. But Leon's body didn't move. Something inside him refused to stand up, walk out, and pretend this wasn't now his responsibility. He leaned down toward Amara. I'll come check on you, okay? She shook her head quickly, panic flashing in her eyes. But what if Mama comes and I'm not here? What if she needs me? Leon felt something break inside him, a quiet, painful snap he hadn't felt since his own daughter's hand slipped from his on that hospital bed. He exhaled slowly. I promise you won't be alone. Those 5 words seemed to calm her. She nodded and let Jada lead her away, but before they reached the exit, Amara turned back and shouted, Bye, Mr. Busman! Leon managed a small wave. See you soon, kiddo. But as she disappeared through the glass doors, something in his soul whispered, You're not done with her, not even close. The building looked like a bland beige box from the outside, but inside, children's laughter bounced off the walls. Posters of superheroes lined the halls. A fish tank bubbled loudly in the corner. Leon signed in at the front desk. You're here to visit Amara, he said. The receptionist smiled. She talks about you, you know. Says you're the bus man with the warm jacket. He couldn't help smiling. Sounds like her. She pointed him to the playroom. Inside, Amara was sitting cross-legged on a colorful rug, making little circles on a scrap of paper with a dull pencil. Her leg brace glinted under the fluorescent lights. He knelt beside her. Hey, starfish. Her head snapped up. Then she grinned so wide it could have powered the whole building. Mr. Busman. She threw her arms around his neck like hugging a tree she didn't want to let go of. Leon laughed softly. Wow, that was some hug. She sat back down and held up her paper. Look, rain circles. He frowned playfully. Rain circles? Mm-hmm. She pointed at the tiny spirals and loops she'd drawn. Leon tilted the paper. They weren't random doodles. The circles grew bigger in perfect patterns, like ripples from stones thrown into a pond. Did someone teach you this? He asked. Nope, she said proudly. The rain told me. When drops hit the window, they make music. My hand just copies it. Leon blinked. This wasn't normal. This was something else. A foster worker nearby walked over. She's been doing that since she arrived. Patterns, sequences. She even groups toys by number sets. Leon stared at Amara in amazement. This child, whose mother thought she had nothing left to give, whose disability made people ignore her, had a mind blooming like a hidden sunrise. He looked at her again, the way her pencil moved without hesitation, how she hummed a soft melody while drawing. Something inside him whispered, She's gifted. She just needs someone to see it. That night, Leon sat in his quiet kitchen staring at a mug of untouched coffee. His mansion felt bigger, colder, emptier, now that he'd seen the warmth in Amara's smile. He made a decision. He grabbed his phone and called an old friend, a lawyer who'd helped him after his daughter passed. I need you to find someone, Leon said. Name? Yolanda Brooks. She left her daughter at Silvercrest Depot. There was a heavy silence on the line. You sure, Leon? That world, it's messy. Kids suffer in messy worlds, Leon replied. Find her. 7 days passed, 7 long days of Leon visiting Amara, listening to her hum as she sorted beads or counted footsteps like beats in a song. Finally, the lawyer called. We found her, shelter near Pine Street. Leon drove there immediately. The confrontation. The shelter entrance smelled like damp blankets and exhaustion. Volunteers handed out soup. Children ran around in worn shoes. And there, sitting near the wall with her arms wrapped around herself, was Yolanda Brooks. Her eyes were empty, not angry, not cruel, just defeated, like a person who'd lost a fight nobody else could see. Leon approached slowly. She didn't look up until he said her name. Yolanda. She flinched. Her voice was barely a breath. You're the man from the depot. I'm the man who found your daughter. Her shoulders shook. Tears gathered but didn't fall. I know. That's why I'm here. To confess, to beg. I couldn't give her what she needed. Her leg, her pain, the bills. I kept failing her. You didn't fail her, Leon said quietly. You broke. There's a difference. She covered her face. I loved her so much it hurt. Every time she winced from walking, I felt like someone stabbed me. I thought, maybe someone better could give her a real life. Leon knelt down. Leaving her wasn't love, Yolanda, but wanting better for her, that's the part that proves you cared. She sobbed. I don't deserve her. No child deserves to feel abandoned, he said gently, but she still asks for you, still hopes you're okay. That shattered her completely. She whispered, what happens now? Leon took a slow breath. You sign temporary guardianship papers. Let her stay somewhere safe. Get help. Heal. And when you're ready, you'll see her again. Yolanda nodded, tears falling into her hands. The paperwork. A quiet hearing was held 2 days later. Yolanda didn't fight, didn't argue, didn't run. She simply signed the papers, whispering, I'm sorry, with every stroke of the pen. Amara sat beside Leon the whole time, drawing invisible circles on his palm with her finger, her way of understanding the world. When the judge approved the arrangement, she leaned against Leon and whispered, Am I going home now? Leon wrapped an arm around her. Yes, sweetheart, he said softly. You're going home with me. Leon drove slowly that evening, afraid that if he sped, he might break whatever fragile piece had just landed in his life. In the back seat, Amara sat with her doll on her lap, humming softly as she looked out the window. Every now and then she traced shapes on the car glass with her finger, spirals, swoops, tiny circles that looked like raindrops falling in reverse. For the first time in years, Leon didn't dread pulling into his driveway. His mansion, once silent as a museum, suddenly felt like it had purpose again. When he opened the front door, Amara stepped inside carefully, as if worried she might break something just by breathing. You can explore, Leon told her gently. Nothing in here is too special to touch. She looked up with wide eyes. Even the shiny table? Even the shiny table. And that was all she needed. Her entire face transformed with curiosity. She walked around slowly at first, then with more confidence, her leg brace clicking softly on the hardwood floor. She touched the smooth banister, peeked into the kitchen, pressed her cheek against the giant living room couch like testing its softness. Finally, she turned to him. It's real quiet here. He swallowed. It used to be quieter. She nodded like she understood more than a child should. By bedtime, she was curled up in one of the guest rooms wrapped in blankets that were comically large for her tiny frame. Leon stood at the door watching her sleep, the way her curls spread across the pillow, the way her doll rested under her chin, the way her good leg bent slightly while the braced one lay straight. Something inside him whispered, protect her, for as long as she lets you. The next morning came with the smell of pancakes. Leon tried to flip them the way he remembered from his daughter's childhood, but all he managed were lopsided circles that looked like nervous golden blobs. When he placed a plate in front of Amara, she stared at it with a tilted head. It looks like a cloud. Leon winced. A cloud you don't have to eat if you don't want to. No, I like it, she said, tearing a piece off. Clouds taste soft. He laughed harder than he had in years. Days became routine. Leon drove her to physical therapy, helped her adjust her brace, read bedtime stories he still remembered by heart. Each day, Amara revealed something new. Not loud, flashy things, but quiet brilliance that showed up in unexpected moments. When she helped him pick out fruit at the market, she sorted oranges by shades of color, like she could see differences invisible to others. When she watered the plants, she spaced out the splashes evenly, like she was following a silent beat. One rainy morning, Leon stepped into the living room and froze. Amara had dumped all the coins from his jar onto the rug. They were arranged in perfect spirals, each coin slightly overlapping the next, a pattern so precise it looked printed by a machine. "Did you do this?" Leon whispered. She nodded proudly. "They like this shape. It's calmer for them." Coins. Calm. He crouched, stunned. Later, when he mentioned it to her doctor during a checkup, the doctor recommended a full cognitive evaluation just to understand how she thinks. Leon agreed immediately. The tests took 2 days. Amara answered questions while swinging her legs, solved puzzles faster than the machine grading them, and built complicated structures out of blocks, like she was following a blueprint already printed in her mind. When the neurologist returned with results, he looked like he was holding a secret the world wasn't ready for. "Mr. Mercer, this child isn't just bright. Her pattern recognition is extraordinary, off the charts. The areas of her brain linked to logic and sequencing. They're unusually active for someone her age." Leon blinked slow. "What does that mean?" "It means her mind works differently, beautifully. She interprets sound, rhythm, numbers, even movement, through patterns. She may face challenges with her leg, yes, but cognitively," he paused, "she is gifted, possibly a savant." Leon didn't speak. He just stared through the glass window at the little girl swinging her legs on the waiting room chair, humming to herself, drawing spirals on the back of a medical form. Even now she didn't realize she was extraordinary, but he did. On the drive home, Amara leaned her head on the window. "Mr. Busman, do you think Mama would still love me, even if I'm weird?" Leon nearly stopped the car right there. "You're not weird," he said softly. "You're remarkable. And yes, your mother loves you. She just needs time to get better." Amara nodded thoughtfully, as if accepting that adults, like storms, sometimes take a long time to clear. A week later, something unexpected happened. When they were walking past the old bus depot, the place where everything started, Amara tugged on his hand. "Can we go inside?" He hesitated but took her in. The air smelled of diesel and cleaning spray. People hurried past in winter jackets. Amara walked straight to bench 12, the spot where she had waited for hours in the cold. She climbed onto it slowly and looked down at her sparkly name bracelet. Then, without a word, she slid it off her wrist. "Sweetheart, what are you doing?" Leon asked. She placed the bracelet gently on the bench. "For the next kid who feels lost," she whispered, "so they know someone will find them too." Leon felt something heavy and warm spread across his chest. He knelt beside her, unable to speak, not because of sadness, but because of awe. That night, a local reporter contacted Leon after hearing about the bus depot incident and Amara's rescue. They wrote a gentle article about a former businessman turned bus driver who found a little girl and gave her a home. The headline read, "Abandoned Girl Finds Hope and a Brilliant Future with Unexpected Guardian." Within weeks, people reached out offering therapy support, school resources, and medical help for Amara's leg. Leon accepted only what she truly needed. Somewhere in the middle of all the change, a letter arrived at Leon's door. The handwriting was shaky. The return address belonged to Yolanda. Leon waited until nighttime to read it aloud to Amara. She sat on the couch with her doll in her lap, eyes wide, listening to every word. In the letter, Yolanda apologized. She wrote about her fear, her depression, her shame. She wrote that she was in counseling now, attending classes, trying to rebuild herself piece by piece. She said she hoped, not demanded, just hoped, that one day when she was healthier, she could see her daughter again. When Leon finished reading, he looked at Amara gently. Do you want to write her back? Amara shook her head. Not yet. Then she rested her little hand on his. But I want her to be okay. Leon smiled softly. She will be. And so will you. Months passed. Therapy strengthened her leg. School opened doors to her blossoming mind. And one bright afternoon, in a small courtroom with sunlight spilling through tall windows, Leon Mercer signed the final paperwork. Amara became his daughter. She didn't fully understand the legal words, but she understood the moment. She crawled into his lap and hugged him, the kind of hug that tells you your heart has finally found a home. And just when they stepped outside the courthouse, Amara whispered something that made his eyes sting. You know, Mr. Busman, Mama didn't come back. Leon nodded gently. But you did. And in that simple truth, between the girl who once waited alone and the man who thought he had nothing left to give, both of them finally learned what it truly means to be found.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story. And here's the message to carry with you. Kindness is never wasted. It always returns to you in ways you don't expect.